Upward Mobility. If you'd like to come and join me. Josh set up Upward Mobility, which is an Edinburgh-based charity that provides support and opportunity for adults with learning difficulties and autism. Since being established in 2006, UPMO has been not only been providing tailored support services, but has also delivered a widely respected curriculum of creative workshops, education activities and vocational programs. It's a large organisation. The charity employs around 100 people and encourages more than 150 students each week to develop their confidence, imagination and life skills and enhance their employability. That's through a range of things: music, drama, art and other expressive and physical activities. It's really getting people engaged in life. And just like with Pete's story, I know there was no plan A or plan B. It just kind of emerged. So my first question to you is, I know that you started out life, as many people in the third sector do, you do a little bit of work here and there, and that you were a care provider whilst you were studying. So how did you go from being a care worker to the founder of an organisation that employs 100 people in 10 years?
Well, it was probably it was a surprise to me as well, because I started doing one-to-one support with somebody, and it was an easy job to get, and it was a bit of a filler, and I thought, well, I'll do this for a period of time, and I really don't want to get into the serious career mode yet. But I found that it was an entire world that was unknown to me. I thought it was really interesting that the person I supported was about the same age as me. And I think that he was somebody that was actually quite isolated. I worked as a night porter previously, and then was studying during the day, and it was not the most social hours. So I kind of had a certain amount of empathy for his isolation, and it was just really easy to get him kind of motivated to do things. And he looked in his diary and he didn't have anything, like 7 days of nothing, yet he had a team of staff around him working and supporting him. So I just thought that was really bizarre. And
how many staff were supporting one person?
Three sometimes people. 4, agency staff as well.
And they didn't do anything? Well,
it's not that they didn't. I think it's more about, social activities and organized activities. I think that that's kind of, it's the nature of the kind of the context of the sector. I mean, I was completely new to the sector. I think that people probably, they certainly cared about their work, but there wasn't anything in there to really kind of shake things up.
So what did you do?
Really simple. We just actually started, what is there out in the community for this person to do? It wasn't really that much for him to do. So we did actually go to the store, get a camera, film dogs, filmed ourselves, filmed trains, went home, watched it on the telly, and it was like really amazing to see his reaction to that experience. Really from there, it just, I think, again, it wasn't a conscious thing. It just, the next thing we did a summer project and got other people involved and rolled out more workshops, and so it really, I think it was the principle of engagement, and I don't really know. I mean, I could go into a lot of detail, but my view is now, as an organization, the idea was about kind of getting people switched on and kind of opening people up to kind of creative process and sharing themselves and being social. So to me, the work that we do now, we have 80 workshops a week.
That's organizing.
It is, but it's again, it hasn't happened overnight. It's something that's been quite a natural process, and I think that everybody's kind of turned on to the idea of, what can I bring to the picture? You get a group of us like in this room, and I am sure that there's a couple people that play a wee bit of guitar. There's a couple people that might be skilled at photography, and so you use the resources that you can, and it creates an opportunity to people, for people to engage certain creative kind of outlets that they have that they might otherwise.
A skill swap almost.
Yeah, a wee bit. I would say so, yeah.
And so As an organisation that's 10 years old has kind of matured by now, we're not in the emerging stages, it's not in startup. And there's 3 areas to any business: getting business, delivering business, and developing your business. Where would you say your strengths as an organisation are? Are they getting business, delivering business, or developing your business? Or are you quite evenly matched now?
Well, that's, I would say that's something that hasn't changed a lot in the last 10 years, is actually, it has always been primarily word of mouth. Students come to the project, they love it, their parents love it, word spreads, and so more people come. So it's not like we have to really go out there to try to, we've grown plenty. And I don't think
100 people.
Yeah,
that's a big start.
I think it's about as much as we could have grown in that period of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we have quite a robust management structure, and I think the quality of what we do is a lot more professional. And
so again, over those 10 years, 'cause that's again out of the startup stage and the emerging stage. Tell me some of the crunch points that you've been through as an organisation to get to this solidity of size. What are some of the crunch points, and how did you get through them?
That's a really good question. One that I wouldn't have thought about.
It's all on the spot.
So, to be perfectly honest, the hardest part about setting up the organization is the early days, and it's about making that commitment. And actually, there's no plan B. This is what we're going to do, and I'm not exactly sure about the details of how we'll get there, but we're going to get there. And so, as the organization grew, when we had 8 staff or however 4 staff, it was really easy to keep morale up. Everybody could fit in the back of my car or whatever. It was like really good social scene. Once it grew, people might have a different relationship to the project. They no longer feel like they're starting something and they're creating something. So as the organization grew, we get 20 staff, get 30 staff, get 40 staff. All of a sudden, the infrastructure, it becomes a problem, because, to keep morale, these guys that are coming in after there's already been 30 employees, they're not going to be satisfied with creating an organization because it's already there. So they need support, they need supervision, they need people to talk to, and that's something we didn't really have. And in all honesty, I was somewhat aware of this. And it was just like, okay, we just got to get through this. I'm just going to close my eyes and we'll get on with it. I'm not sure what's going to happen this year, but we'll do it. And we did have, it was just a period of time where we had a lot of staff. Growing pains. And I think you have to take care of your staff, and you have to listen, and you have to be available. And I think that the difficulty was physically not having the infrastructure or the time, the people to support that resource.
I can understand the idea of the difficulty of growing pains. With yourself as a founder, as a leader of the organisation, what support have you received over the years that's been critical to you? Was there particular organisations or people? How did you get the support that you needed in your leadership journey and to be resilient?
So I think, they do talk about kind of how lonely it is at the top and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not sure how true that is, but what I would say is I think it's important to support people and encourage people to pursue their dreams and to believe in people regardless of how ridiculous their ideas are. And in perfect honesty, I think, like, in terms of who I am as an individual, I think that when I was growing up, I almost had like the ideal lifestyle where we lived in a family of 5. My older brother was 3 years older than me. We were really competitive with each other. He was super popular, super talented, very charismatic, also very rebellious. He was a skateboarder. Back then, skateboarding, people didn't even know what it was. And there's like, the music and the hair and all this kind of stuff. And so anyhow, that was, I know I'm going a bit off piece here. The point is, he really, years older than me, but for some reason he just believed I could do anything. And he really believed in me. And it really put my confidence in a place that probably was semi-unhealthy, you know, in the respect that I would get into trouble, as some kids do. But so basically, he died when I was 14 years old, and I think at that point in time, you know, I felt like it had already been installed into me, kind of this kind of belief, and I think that has contributed to who I am as a person in terms of my, you know, I suppose confidence to start an organization. But the other side of it is like that was a very traumatic experience. But at that time, I was able to kind of see through and actually believe, wow, like the world isn't fixed. You know, this is something that happened completely unexpected. Would have never believed it would have happened, but equally, something positive must happen as well. It must be possible, you know, for positive things to happen that are completely unexpected as well. So it's just kind of like that philosophy.
Someone believing in you.
Somebody believing you, yeah.
Yourself.
And then also kind of believing in the polarization of life experience where, you know, nothing's fixed. You can, you know, wonderful things can happen, yeah. Bad things can happen, but you know, I think you just have to kind of commit to that idea and keep on moving.
So, if you were talking to your younger self, the one that's just got this idea, started working with one person, and I know that there were naysayers around at the time. You know, you've got your positive self-belief, but you've also got external influences going, well, that's not going to happen. Tell us a little bit about that story, and what would you say to your younger self now when those voices of doom and gloom?
I think no matter what you're doing, there's always going to be people that are going to be looking at the cup half empty, and there's always going to be people, like, you set a target, people are going to, you know, say X, Y, and Z why something can't happen. And I think it's important just to stay focused and just say, okay, well, that's fine, but actually, you know, it is, I guess, it's just about, again, coming back to this idea of committing to, you know, whatever it is that you want to do, and just being clear about what that thing is. So in terms of, you know, kind of talking yourself out of the situation before you get there, I think that's something that just people need to be aware of. It's easy to be negative and, you know, have a great idea and get it kind of slowly chipped away.
Resonate with that one?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's that self-belief and listening to the positives and surrounding yourself by positive people. I've got positive people around me. That's very nice. Okay, my final question for you is about what is it that you love about your job or the organisation you've created and the activities that you're doing? What is it that really enriches you about that?
In all honesty, I think, you know, especially in these days when you kind of have these grains of doubt of kind of whether it will work out or not, and you've committed, I think it's actually just realizing, you know, some of the guys that are in upward mobility now, I remember them, you know, I used to work with them really closely, you know, years back, and actually being able to maintain that relationship and having them be so positive and so appreciative and genuinely, I mean, to me, it kind of, what upward mobility has done for me is it's defined what success is. It's definitely not impressed with money. It's like, you know, you can be happy, that's success. And that's where I think our society is a little out of balance. So that's something that I find quite rewarding. And like if I'm having like a particularly bad week, it's like, okay, I need to kind of maybe get some reality and check in with some of the guys and see how they're doing. So that I find quite inspiring.
Redefining your idea of success and surrounding yourself with making a difference.
Well, I think that's something that we can learn from working with vulnerable people, is just kind of recognizing actually where, what is success, what is going to make this person's life happy, better. And I think it's generally it's not money.
It's not money, and there's lots of forms of vulnerable.
Yeah. Yes, there are. Right. That's right.
Okay, Josh, thank you very much for sharing with us today.